है शुक्र रब्बे अज़्ज़ा वजल।
मसीह साहब फरमाए, मेरे पैरोकार ऐसे हैं कि अगर मैं उन्हें हुक्म दूँ कि अपने तमाम माल से दस्तबरदार हो जाओ तो वो तैयार हैं। ये हमने अपनी आँखों से देखा माशाल्लाह से। As shukr is concerned, as thanksgiving is concerned, it is compulsory for all of us. From toe to head, we cannot count His favors. How Allah has provided us everything perfect. If one thing would not have been working, we would not have been living in this world.
Welcome to Hadiq-e-Ahmad in Australia. The Ahmadiyya Muslim Community's new 341-acre property in Bathurst, New South Wales, just over 150 kilometres west of Baitul Huda Mosque in Sydney. God willing, this property will be used for national events including Jalsa Salana Australia in the future. As Allah Almighty prophesies to the promised Messiah, on whom be peace, to expand your abode, this is another sign of Allah fulfilling the requirements of His servants.
In 1983, when Jamaat purchased the first property upon the continent of Australia, our numbers were such that we could not even purchase, let alone contribute towards Baitul Huda in Marsden Park. Every single dollar for the purchase of Baitul Huda in Sydney in 1983 came from a small Jamaat in Kuwait. So imagine that the journey of Jamaat Ahmadiyya Australia in regards to purchasing land and building mosques, it begins in Kuwait, Middle East. And Alhamdulillah, 41 years later, or just over 40 years later, Allah Ta'ala has enabled this Jamaat, a small Jamaat in number, but in a matter of 40 years, Allah enabled this Jamaat, which numbers perhaps less than 9,000 members, to purchase a property with the value of over $4 million. This is nothing short of fulfillment of the revelation of the Prophet ﷺ, but also the truthfulness of his Jamaat.
The rural property in regional Australia was originally a World War II training camp, and post-war was transformed into an immigrant village that housed thousands of European migrants, where adults were taught English and children were given a general school education. For the last 40 years, it has served as an educational facility, sheep and cattle drome, and more recently as an amusement park.
The 340 acres that we have here originally was an army training camp for the soldiers in the First and the Second World War. Some thousands of soldiers trained here. After the Second World War was over, this property became one of the biggest migrant camps in Australia. Over a period of 4 or 5 years, some 80,000 migrants came through here from all parts of the world. There was a huge Dutch contingent here. After that, it was bought by a local person from here, and he developed a show called the Bathurst Sheep and Cattle Show. That show started in 1978 and went for some 43 years until COVID hit. This is one of the prime pieces of real estate here in Bathurst. As I said, some 340 acres here, beautiful property. The views are magnificent, and Bathurst is one of the biggest growing towns outside of the Sydney metropolitan area at the moment. It's been our pleasure to deal with the Muslim group here and I wish them all the best in the development here, because they've certainly got something to work with here, and I wish them all the success in the world.
In its current state, facilities include a golf course, mini golf course, animal park, and a commercial kitchen, as well as accommodation for up to 220 people. In early 2025, the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community Australia held historic first events at the property. The events began with a national refresher course attended by National Amla and all local presidents, followed by a National Amla meeting led by respected Inamul Haq Koser, Amir and Missionary in Charge of Australia. All attendees were served a barbecue dinner under the clear night skies that evening. Following this, a Yom Tashakkur, or Day of Gratefulness, that brought together close to 300 Ahmadi men, women and children was held. Following recitation of the Holy Quran and poems, a background of the property was outlined, inspiring stories about financial sacrifice for the property were shared, and being thankful to Allah Almighty was highlighted.
این چشمه روان که به خلق خدا دهم این چشمه روان که به خلق خدا دهم یک قطره ز بحر کمال محمد است.
A member of Lajna came up to me and she said that I had been saving gold for the wedding of my children because I'm not a wealthy woman, but she said that this cause is much greater than the event of the weddings or marriages of my children, and I give all of it to the Jamaat. Once again, exactly in line with what the Holy Prophet ﷺ states, that in the latter days there will be people, they will be exactly like my companions. A khadim was saving money to buy his very first property. I'd called him and asked him that to make some contribution in towards his promise. And he said very earnestly that, Murabbi Sahab, I have saved this much amount and only this much amount to buy or put forth as a deposit to buy my first home. At the moment it may be slightly difficult. And I told him it's not a problem. Whenever you can, please come forth. And he puts the phone down. And not 10 minutes go by and I get a message in the form of a screenshot. And he says that I've given everything that I'd saved for my deposit. Once again, exactly like Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu, that I have left nothing behind but the name of Allah and His Prophet Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Amir Sahib presented the concluding address and led the congregation in silent prayer. May Allah Almighty continue to shower us with blessings and expand the promised Messiah's house.
Everyone was very thankful to Allah the Almighty and very thankful to beloved Imam Khalifatul Masih al-Khamis, Ayyadullah Ta'ala bin Nasr Aziz, for his special prayers for us. And we feel ourselves that we are very fortunate that we acquired this land, which is 340 acres of land, plus the complex, which consists of 2 houses, 7 dormitories, which can accommodate 300 plus people. There is one big hall, accommodates 300 people. There was a dining area, restaurant and gift center. MashaAllah, it was excellent property we have received so far. And we are very thankful to Allah the Almighty. I'm sure that it will be very good for Khuddam, Ansar, Lajna, for their national ijtima and their regional ijtima as well. And we will be, inshallah, making this property settled for Jalsagah in the next 2-3 years. Alhamdulillah, and Alhamdulillah, we are very thankful to Allah that we have been blessed with this very great property